Have you ever wondered why some farms flourish while others struggle, even when they're growing the same crops? The secret often lies beneath our feet, in the health of our soil and how we water it. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of irrigation and its profound effects on soil health. Hey there, fellow agriculture enthusiasts. I'm excited to guide you through this comprehensive journey of understanding how irrigation shapes the very foundation of our farming success. Whether you're a seasoned farmer, a gardening enthusiast, or simply curious about sustainable agriculture, this video will unlock crucial insights about the relationship between water management and soil health. I've broken down this guide into 8 engaging parts to make it easy for you to follow along. First, we'll explore the fundamental connection between soil health and irrigation. Then, we'll dive into the crucial role water plays in maintaining healthy soil. Moving forward, in the third part, we'll examine various irrigation techniques and their impacts. At part 4, we will guide you how irrigation affects soil structure. That helps you to understand the importance of irrigation for agriculture. We'll then explore nutrient management in irrigated soils at part 5. Next, we will discover sustainable irrigation practices at stage 6. As we near the end, we'll discuss how climate change is reshaping our irrigation needs. And finally, we'll look at real-world examples through fascinating case studies. So, grab your notebook and let's embark on this journey to understand how the way we water our land can make or break its health. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at irrigation the same way again. Introduction to soil health and irrigation. Picture a thriving garden, lush, green, and full of life. What's the secret behind such vibrant growth? It all starts with healthy soil. Think of soil as the living foundation of agriculture, much like a bustling city beneath our feet. Just like we need a healthy body to live well, plants need healthy soil to grow strong. But what exactly makes soil healthy? Well, healthy soil is like a perfect sandwich. It has multiple layers working together. It contains essential nutrients that feed our plants, beneficial microorganisms that break down organic matter, and the perfect structure that allows roots to grow deep and strong. When soil is healthy, it acts like a sponge, holding water and nutrients while still allowing air to flow through it. This balance is crucial for growing the food that ends up on our tables. Now let's talk about irrigation, our way of making sure plants get the water they need when they need it. Imagine irrigation as being like a watering can, but on a much bigger scale. In nature, plants rely on rainfall, but we can't always count on the weather to provide water exactly when our crops need it. That's where irrigation comes in. It's our way of stepping in to help nature along, ensuring our crops get consistent access to water throughout their growing season. Throughout history, from the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Mesopotamia to modern-day farming, irrigation has been one of humanity's most important agricultural tools. It's like having an insurance policy for your crops. When the rain doesn't come, irrigation systems ensure plants still get the water they need to survive and thrive. The beautiful thing about proper irrigation is that it doesn't just keep plants alive. It helps maintain that crucial soil health we talked about earlier. When done right, irrigation can help distribute nutrients, support beneficial soil organisms, and maintain the perfect moisture balance that healthy soil needs. However, just like anything else, it needs to be done with care and understanding. Too much or too little water can cause problems for both plants and soil. Remember, whether you're tending to a small garden or managing a large farm, understanding these basics of soil health and irrigation is your first step toward growing success. It's all about finding that sweet spot where water meets soil in just the right way. The importance of water in soil health. Let's dive into why water is absolutely essential for healthy soil. You know how we can't survive without water? Well, soil is exactly the same. Water is like the delivery service of the soil world. It's the key player that makes everything happen beneath the surface. Think about this. When you're thirsty, you grab a drink, and that water helps carry nutrients throughout your body. Soil works in a similar way. Water in soil acts like a superhighway, transporting vital nutrients that plants need to grow. When water moves through soil, it's not just providing moisture, it's delivering a whole buffet of nutrients directly to plant roots. These nutrients dissolve in water, making them easy for plants to absorb, just like how we better absorb vitamins with a glass of water. But there's more to it than just nutrient delivery. Water actually helps create the perfect living conditions in soil. It fills the tiny spaces between soil particles, creating cozy homes for beneficial microorganisms. Think of them as the tiny gardeners of the soil world. These microorganisms break down organic matter, release more nutrients, and help build better soil structure. It's like a whole underground city working together. Now, what happens when there isn't enough water? This is where things can get pretty rough. Imagine trying to cook dinner without any water. Pretty challenging, right? When soil doesn't get enough water, it's like shutting down this entire underground system. The soil becomes hard and compact, making it difficult for roots to grow. Those beneficial microorganisms we talked about, they either die off or become dormant. Nutrients stay locked up in forms that plants can't use, kind of like having a fridge full of frozen food but no way to cook it. Water scarcity can start a troubling chain reaction. Without enough water, plants struggle to grow, which means less organic matter returns to the soil. The soil structure begins to break down, making it even harder for the soil to hold water when it does rain. It's like a downward spiral. The less water there is, the worse the soil gets at holding water, and the cycle continues. Think of a dried-up sponge. When it's completely dry, it becomes hard and doesn't easily absorb water. Soil behaves the same way. When it gets too dry, it can actually repel water instead of absorbing it, making it even harder to restore soil health. This is especially problematic in agricultural areas where consistent water supply is crucial for crop production. That's why maintaining the right amount of water in soil isn't just about keeping plants alive. It's about keeping the entire soil ecosystem healthy and functioning. It's a delicate balance, but understanding this relationship between water and soil health is crucial for successful agriculture. Advanced irrigation techniques and their impact. Now, let's explore different irrigation methods and how they affect our soil. It's fascinating how far we've come from simply flooding fields to using smart systems that know exactly when and how much to water. Let me break this down in a way that makes sense. Let's start with traditional flood irrigation. Imagine pouring water into your field like filling up a bathtub. While this method is simple and has been used for thousands of years, it's a bit like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It gets the job done, but it can be pretty rough on your soil. The water spreads across the surface, which can wash away precious topsoil and create a compacted layer that makes it harder for roots to grow. However, it's still popular in many parts of the world because it's low-tech and affordable. Now, let's talk about sprinkler systems. They're like having artificial rain clouds over your fields. These systems spray water through the air, which can be great for larger areas. The good news is they provide even coverage and can help cool crops during hot weather. The downside? Some water gets lost to evaporation, especially on windy days, and the impact of water droplets can actually harm delicate soil structure over time, kind of like how heavy rain can compact soil. Here's where things get really interesting. Drip irrigation. Think of it as giving your plants a precise, slow-release drink through tiny straws. Small holes in tubes deliver water directly to plant roots, minimizing waste and keeping soil structure intact. It's incredibly efficient and helps prevent weed growth since you're only watering the plants you want. The main catch? It's more expensive to set up and requires regular maintenance to prevent clogging. But wait until you hear about the newest player in the game. Sensor-based smart irrigation systems. These are like having a personal soil doctor constantly monitoring your fields. They use sensors to measure soil moisture, weather conditions, and plant needs in real time, automatically adjusting water delivery. While these systems can be pricey, they're incredibly precise and can significantly reduce water waste while maintaining optimal soil conditions. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Wastewater irrigation. It's like recycling water while fertilizing at the same time. Treated wastewater contains nutrients that plants love, making it a 2-for-1 deal. However, we need to be careful here. Just like you wouldn't want to drink unfiltered water, soil can be sensitive to what's in wastewater. There's a risk of salt building up in the soil over time, and sometimes wastewater can contain heavy metals that aren't so friendly to our soil's health. Each of these methods has its sweet spot. The key is matching the right irrigation method to your specific needs, soil type, and crop requirements. It's like choosing the right tool for the job. Sometimes the fanciest option isn't necessarily the best for your situation. And remember, whichever method you choose, the goal remains the same: to provide your plants with water in a way that maintains soil health while making efficient use of our precious water resources. The best irrigation system is one that finds the perfect balance between water efficiency, soil health, and practical feasibility for your specific situation. Soil structure and its interactions with irrigation practices. Let's explore how irrigation shapes the very structure of our soil. You know how a house needs a good foundation to stay strong? Well, soil structure works the same way for plants. The way we water can either build up or break down this crucial foundation. Think of soil as a tiny apartment building with hallways and rooms. These spaces between soil particles, we call them pores, are absolutely crucial. They're like the hallways in our building, allowing air, water, and roots to move freely. When we irrigate correctly, we help maintain these vital spaces. But here's the interesting part. Different irrigation methods can dramatically change this internal structure. Remember that flood irrigation we talked about earlier? Well, it can be pretty tough on soil structure. When you flood a field, it's like throwing all the furniture around in those soil apartments. The force of water can collapse those precious air spaces, leading to compaction. Imagine trying to walk through a hallway where the ceiling has been lowered. That's what plant roots face in compacted soil. On the flip side, drip irrigation is like having a gentle caretaker for your soil building. It adds water so slowly and precisely that it preserves those crucial pore spaces. This gentle approach helps maintain what we call soil aggregates. Think of them as the building blocks that create structure in soil. When these aggregates stay intact, they create a perfect balance of large and small spaces that can hold both water and air. Now, let's talk about something really important: soil organic matter. This is like the glue that holds our soil apartment building together. It's made up of decomposed plants, animals, and those helpful microorganisms we mentioned earlier. When soil has good organic matter content, it's like having a well-maintained building. Everything works better. The soil can hold more water without becoming waterlogged. Nutrients stay available to plants, and those important pore spaces remain stable. Here's where it gets really interesting. The way we irrigate actually affects how much organic matter stays in our soil. When we water appropriately, we encourage plant growth, which means more roots and plant residue adding to our organic matter bank. But if we overwater, we can actually wash away organic matter or create conditions where it breaks down too quickly. It's like having a leaky roof in our building. It can damage everything below. The magic happens when we get the balance right. Proper irrigation helps create what farmers call crumb structure. Soil that's loose and crumbly, like a good chocolate cake. This kind of soil structure is perfect for plants because roots can easily grow through it. Water can be stored in it, and air can circulate freely. Plus, when soil has good structure, it becomes more resilient. It can better handle heavy rains or dry spells, kind of like a well-built building standing strong in any weather. Remember, these changes in soil structure don't happen overnight. Just like it takes time to build or renovate a building, it takes time to improve soil structure. But with the right irrigation practices, we can help create and maintain soil that's perfectly structured for healthy plant growth. It's all about being gentle with our soil and giving it what it needs to maintain its natural architecture. Nutrient management in irrigated soils. Let's dive into how irrigation affects nutrients in our soil. It's like managing a complex restaurant kitchen, where water is the chef moving ingredients, nutrients, around. Get ready, because this part is crucial for anyone wanting to grow healthy plants. Think about nutrients in soil like ingredients in a recipe. They need to be available in the right amounts at the right time. Water from irrigation plays a huge role here. When we add water to soil, it's like turning on a delivery service for nutrients. The water dissolves these nutrients, making them available for plants to drink up through their roots. Pretty cool, right? But here's the tricky part. Too much water can cause what we call nutrient leaching. Imagine making tea. If you pour too much water through the tea bag, your tea gets weaker. The same thing happens in soil. When we over-irrigate, water can wash away valuable nutrients, carrying them deeper into the soil where roots can't reach them, or worse, into groundwater. This is not only wasteful, but can also pollute our water sources. Now, let's talk about a game changer, matching your fertilizer application with your irrigation schedule. This is called fertigation when done through irrigation systems, and it's like serving your plants a perfectly timed meal. For example, if you're using drip irrigation, you can add small amounts of fertilizer directly through the system, ensuring plants get nutrients exactly where and when they need them. This is way more efficient than spreading fertilizer and hoping the water takes it where it needs to go. But wait, there's a potential problem we need to discuss: soil salinity. This is like having too much seasoning in your soil recipe. Every time we irrigate, we're adding small amounts of salts to the soil. Over time, if we're not careful, these salts can build up, especially in areas with poor drainage. High salt levels can make it harder for plants to absorb water. Imagine trying to drink from a glass of salt water instead of fresh water. Not very refreshing, right? Here's how we can manage these challenges. Use irrigation scheduling that matches plant needs. Not too much, not too little. Choose the right time to apply fertilizers, usually just before or during irrigation. Monitor soil regularly for salt buildup. Consider occasional heavy irrigation, leaching, to flush excess salts when needed, but only if you have good drainage. The key is balance. Just like a good chef knows exactly how much seasoning to add to a dish, successful farmers and gardeners learn to balance water and nutrients in their soil. It's about being precise with both irrigation and fertilization, working together like a well-orchestrated dance. Remember, when we get this balance right, we create ideal conditions for plant growth while protecting our water resources and keeping our soil healthy for future generations. It's not just about feeding plants today. It's about maintaining a sustainable system that will continue to produce food for years to come. Promoting sustainable irrigation practices. Let's dive into some exciting ways we can make our irrigation practices more sustainable. Think of it as upgrading from an old gas-guzzling car to a modern hybrid vehicle, but for farming. These innovations are changing the game in agriculture, making it more efficient and environmentally friendly. First, let's talk about water-efficient irrigation technologies. Modern systems are getting incredibly smart. Imagine having a precision sprinkler system that knows exactly how much water your crops need. One of the coolest innovations is subsurface drip irrigation. It's like giving your plants a personal water bottle underground. These systems can reduce water usage by up to 50% compared to traditional methods, while keeping your soil structure healthy and strong. You know what's really exciting? Drought-resistant crop varieties. These plants are like the camels of the farming world. They can thrive with less water. By combining these hardy plants with efficient irrigation systems, farmers can maintain good yields even when water is scarce. Think crops like drought-resistant corn, wheat, and even specialized vegetable varieties that have been developed to need less water. Now let's geek out about smart agriculture for a minute. Modern farms are starting to look more like tech companies. Soil moisture sensors work like tiny underground weather stations, constantly monitoring water levels. These connect to automated irrigation systems that can turn on and off based on real-time data. Some systems even use satellite imagery and weather forecasts to predict exactly when and how much to water. It's like having a crystal ball for your farm. But here's where it gets really interesting. Communities are coming together to make a difference. Farmer cooperatives are sharing knowledge and resources to implement these technologies. Some communities have started water sharing programs, where farmers coordinate their irrigation schedules to prevent overuse of local water sources. It's like a neighborhood watch program, but for water conservation. And governments are getting on board too. Many states now offer incentives for farmers who adopt water-efficient technologies. There are programs providing grants for upgrading irrigation systems, technical training for new technologies, and even tax breaks for sustainable farming practices. It's like getting a reward for doing the right thing. The best part? These practices aren't just good for the environment, they're good for the bottom line too. Farmers using these sustainable methods often see reduced water bills, lower energy costs, and better crop yields. Plus, healthier soil means fewer inputs needed over time. It's a win-win situation where being environmentally conscious actually helps make farming more profitable. Remember, transitioning to sustainable practices doesn't mean you have to change everything overnight. Even small steps toward more efficient irrigation can make a big difference. The future of farming is about working smarter, not harder, and these sustainable practices are leading the way toward a more resilient and productive agricultural system. Impact of climate change on irrigation needs. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, climate change, and how it's reshaping our approach to irrigation. This isn't just about warmer temperatures. It's about adapting to a whole new world of farming challenges. Think about the weather patterns you've noticed changing in recent years. Rainfall isn't as predictable as it used to be. It's like Mother Nature has torn up the old schedule. In some areas, we're seeing intense downpours followed by long dry spells, while other regions are experiencing longer droughts than ever before. This new normal is forcing us to rethink how we manage water for our crops. These changes are hitting our soil hard. When heavy rains come all at once, it's like pouring a bucket of water onto a dry sponge. Most of it runs off instead of soaking in. This leads to soil erosion and nutrient loss. Then, during those long dry periods, the soil becomes so dry that it's harder for it to absorb water when it finally does rain. It's a tricky cycle that's becoming more common worldwide. So, how do we adapt? Well, farmers are getting creative. Think of it as creating a climate-resilient toolkit. One approach is implementing water harvesting systems, catching and storing rainwater when it's plentiful for use during dry spells. It's like having a savings account for water. Some farmers are also adopting flexible irrigation schedules that can be quickly adjusted based on weather forecasts. Here's where technology becomes our best friend. Weather monitoring systems combined with soil moisture sensors can help predict exactly when crops will need water. Some farmers are even using AI-powered systems that can automatically adjust irrigation based on weather predictions and plant stress levels. It's like having a weather-savvy assistant that never sleeps. But adaptation isn't just about high-tech solutions. Some farmers are returning to traditional methods with a modern twist. Cover cropping, for instance, helps soil retain moisture and resist erosion during extreme weather events. Others are designing their fields with swales and contours to naturally capture and direct water flow, working with nature instead of against it. The key message here is flexibility. In this changing climate, rigid irrigation schedules just don't cut it anymore. We need to be ready to adapt, sometimes day by day, to keep our soil healthy and our crops growing. It's challenging, sure, but it's also an opportunity to become better, more resilient farmers. Remember, while we can't control the weather, we can control how we prepare for and respond to it. By staying informed and adaptable, we can help our farms thrive even as climate patterns continue to change. The future of farming belongs to those who can roll with these changes while keeping their soil healthy and productive. Case studies and practical examples. Now, let's travel across the globe as we look at some fascinating case studies that reveal the practical applications and transformative effects of innovative irrigation techniques on soil health. Have you ever wondered how the deserts of Israel have been turned into flourishing agricultural lands? Through advanced irrigation practices like drip irrigation, farmers in arid regions have managed to not only conserve precious water, but also significantly improve soil health. These techniques ensure that water and nutrients are delivered directly to the roots, reducing evaporation and nutrient runoff, which in turn enhances the soil structure and fertility. Closer to home, in California, the implementation of sensor-based irrigation systems in vineyards has shown how technology can optimize water usage and nutrient distribution. These systems adjust watering schedules based on real-time soil moisture data, promoting root growth and improving soil aeration. This has not only improved grape yield and quality, but also preserved the microbial health of the soil, crucial for sustainable viticulture. Each story brings to light a unique challenge and solution, providing valuable lessons on the effectiveness of adapting irrigation practices to meet environmental and agricultural needs. As we conclude this enlightening journey into the world of irrigation and its vital role in maintaining soil health, it's clear that the decisions we make today pave the way for tomorrow's agriculture. From reducing water usage with smart technologies to enhancing soil structure through advanced irrigation practices, every step we take is a step toward a sustainable future. And now, I turn to you. If you found value in our exploration today, consider what you can do to impact the future of farming. Whether you're tending to your backyard garden or are part of a larger agricultural operation, the practices we've discussed can make a real difference. But the journey doesn't end here. Subscribe to our channel for more insights into sustainable farming practices. Like this video if you're ready to take a step towards better irrigation and healthier soil, and share it with friends and family to spread the word. Together, let's cultivate a world where sustainable farming isn't just an ideal, but a reality. Keep watching and keep supporting Smart Farming Inside.